Hi, welcome back. I'm Paul Chartier. We are joined by our good friend Eric Ward, the president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Bluegrass. They picked the right guy to run that program when it was in trouble, so congratulations.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that vote of confidence, but it's certainly not a one-man job. There's a whole lot of folks that are pulling the wagon. So
there's a triumvirate that was formed, and not to rehash, but coming from the ashes, the financial footing right now is fantastic, isn't it?
It's all relative where
we've
we've come from,
right.
and it's pretty amazing where we've come from and where we are today. It's not fantastic. You know, we've got about enough money in the bank to sustain us for about 3 or 4 months if everything dried up,
and
which
that's
great.
Wonderful.
You know, I'd like to have a little bit more of a cushion. And we're working our way there. But you know, the bottom line is, if you look at where we were, our fiscal year ends on December 31, and if you look at where the agency was on December 31, 2011, I think our balance sheet reflected a minus $180 cash on December 31, 2011. And this December 31, it was more like $153,000. So
big difference.
That's a huge, and that's on a $700,000 annual budget, and we're not talking about a $3 million annual budget. So that's a big step forward in terms of building some financial security for our organization.
Well, right now you've got a 3-month reserve. Before you had minutes in reserve.
Seconds.
You were good for about 20 seconds. And then, got to shut down.
That's right.
But thanks to you, people came out of the woodwork because it is about kids.
Oh yeah,
it is about kids.
It's definitely about children, and it is pretty simple. The mission of Big Brothers Big Sisters is really simple. You know, we don't take broken children and try to fix them.
Mm-hmm.
We just take kids that have a need, and we try to match them up with an adult mentor to be a friend and a buddy, someone to listen to them, someone to go out and give them an opportunity to do things that you and I just take for granted. You know. Mm-hmm. We were talking today, a group of us were talking about some of the experiences that we've had with some of our littles. And it's amazing the things that we take for granted, but you know, these kids have, you know, one of our program managers was telling about one of their little sisters who one day told them that they had never been inside of a restaurant. They'd only gone to a drive-through, and one of their biggest thrills was to see what it looked like on the inside of the restaurant as opposed to going to the drive-through.
That's amazing.
These kids have never been to a car wash. You should see how excited they are when you take them to one of these automatic car washes and they watch the cars go through the car wash. I mean, it's just fascinating for them. But these are experiences that they just haven't had. And so when we recruit volunteers to be Big Brothers and Big Sisters, we tell them, keep it simple. You know, just do the things that you normally do and let them go with you. Let them tag along with you, because a lot of times these are activities that they've not ever. Just take them to the movies, and they think it was the greatest thing in the world because they've never been inside a movie theater. So, you know, these are the kinds of things that we do in our program, and through exposing kids to these kinds of activities and giving them a positive role model in their life that they can just be a buddy with, we see remarkable changes in these children.
And you know, and they may not know, it's not just field trips. They're mentors. They're checking in on the young person to see if they're doing their homework, living their life the right way, getting on track if it is off track, and demonstrating through their own action of the right way to live a life.
Exactly. It's role modeling. What it is, taking a positive role model and introducing it into a child's life. And it's no more complicated than that. You know, you don't have to have any special training or expertise. You just have to have a willingness to spend an hour a week with a child and just be a positive role model.
And how many children do you affect on an annual basis?
Well, we probably impact over 500 kids. Right now we have about 340 open and active matches. In other words, littles that are matched with bigs. Our goal is to make to increase that to 450 to 475 by the end of this year, by the end of 2013, which means we'll have to make about 250 new matches to get there, because there's a natural life expectancy to every match, and we close matches every month and open new matches every month. But we hope to be at 450 to 475 by the end of 2013.
It's about dollars.
It is.
And it's about volunteers. And it's about your staff. So let's talk about the volunteers or the dollars. What do you want to talk about?
You know, it's hard to differentiate between them in terms of which is more important.
No, they're all important.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're all very important. We can't have a program without the volunteers. We can't have the program without the dollars. the reason the dollars are so important to us is to serve more children. One of the things that makes Big Brothers and Big Sisters a little bit different than a lot of the other youth mentoring programs is the level of support that we provide for the volunteers in our program. For first-year matches, there's monthly contact with the child, with the adult volunteer, and with the parent or guardian that's involved in that relationship. And there has to be an engaged, involved parent or guardian in the relationship or it doesn't work. And we won't accept the child unless there is that parental or guardian involvement in the relationship. But during the first year, there's monthly contact with all three of the parties in the relationship. And the program staff is there to be a resource for the volunteers, to be a support system for the parent or guardian, and to check in on the child to make sure that the child's interests are being met and the child is safe and comfortable in the relationship, and that the relationship continues to grow and become stronger over a period of time. We tell the volunteers when they come in that we ask them for a one-year commitment, because we know our research shows that anything less than that and you run the risk of doing damage to the child as opposed to helping the child, because you want to build consistency and you want to build a rapport, and that's where the real benefit comes. And so we want to make sure that we do everything we can to foster that relationship to make it sure it gets to that one-year mark. And if it can get to the one-year mark, then chances are it's going to last a lot longer. Our average match length is about 3 years. The national average is 2 years. So we're doing a really good job of making matches, you know, finding adults and children that are compatible with each other, have common interests, and we feel pretty certain that there's going to be an immediate bonding between the child and the adult. And then I think we do a really good job of supporting those matches and getting them past that one-year mark so they have the opportunity to stay together for a long time.
Your staff was teetering, and some of them stuck it out, and it's a fantastic staff. And you've got new people in, it's a good blend. Leadership, but the staff, they've overcome the leadership. You've done a great job. And not that they need any kind of kudos, but Scanlon and Alan Stein.
Well, all
you
of our
three,
board members.
Yeah, you three, though, those two came out of the woodwork, and it's been a great dynamic. It's grown from there, but you've got great people. Let's talk about the fun stuff.
Let's talk about it.
Bowling.
Bowling. Bowl for kids' sake. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our biggest fundraiser of the year.
It has to happen.
It does.
It has to happen. People have to sponsor a bowler, become a bowler, and this is you raise a lot of money doing this.
Well, last year, believe it or not, last year we were right in the middle of deciding whether we were going to shut down or not, and 2 weeks after I came in, I think, as CEO, we had our first bowling event in Richmond, and there were a lot of people that didn't even know if we were still around, and we still managed to raise $24,000 in one day in Richmond at our bowling event there. We ended up raising about $220,000 over the course of about 3 months, and we bowled everywhere we could with anybody that would bowl. And but we were fortunate the community stepped up and gave us another $250,000 in donations just to get us to that opportunity to have a bowl for kids' sake. So this year our goal is $300,000, which is about a 35% increase over what we did last year, but it's still less than what had been done the year before, the year before in 2011 or 2010, I guess. So we feel like that's a realistic goal, but we need to hit that goal, and if we can hit that goal, then it'll put us on track to meet our other financial goals for the rest of the year. But it's pretty simple too. You know, it used to be a lot more complicated. We used to tell people to go out and get pledges for each pin they knocked down, and then they'd have to go back to their donors and ask them for the check based on whatever they bowled. I bowled 108, and you pledged $1 a pin, so you owe me $108.
Complicated.
And it got really complicated and convoluted, and so we've made it a lot simpler. It's just the bowlers just go out and get donations. They get donations from their friends, their family members, their coworkers, their neighbors, anybody that they feel comfortable asking for help. And then they collect those checks or those pledges, and they bring their pledge sheet in on the day of the bowl, and they turn all their money in and all their pledges in, and we give them some bowling shoes and give them a bowling ball and feed them pizza and give them something to drink. And the bowling event itself is more of just a celebration of the fundraising that's taken place up to that point.
Let's put your website and phone number up on the screen so people can contact you to volunteer, to become a mentor, to bowl, to talk to Eric Ward. Just call the phone number and ask for Eric.
I'd be glad to talk to him.
He answers the phone. That's a cell phone. No, it's not. It's on call all the time.
We bowl in Richmond in February. we bowl in Fayette County in March. Then we bowl in Danville and Mount Sterling in April. And then we have another Fayette County date about the third weekend in April that's a makeup in case we have bad weather or we just get so many people that want to bowl in Fayette County that we have to have an overflow date.
Bowling fever. I sense it coming.
Is that a challenge?
A bowling avalanche.
All right.
It's about to hit us. A tsunami, bowling tsunami. Should we thank the bowling alleys? They kind of help too, don't they?
They do. They give us. They don't give us. They don't give it to us for free, but they give us. Southland Bowling Center here in Fayette County has been very, very good to us, and they give us a great rate. The Collins family, and then the bowling centers in the other communities where we bowl. They've been very kind to us, very generous with us, yeah, we obviously couldn't do it without them. And unfortunately, bowling facilities are sort of a dying breed, and so we used to bowl in a lot more locations when there were bowling centers that were open in those communities like Nicholasville and Winchester and other places, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to find bowling centers in these smaller communities that are still open and active. So in the future we're probably going to have to get a little bit more creative and come up with some additional event-based fundraising opportunities if bowling centers continue to be, a dying breed. But for now, we've got really strong relationships in those communities, and it's a great event because, quite honestly, you don't have to be a bowler. Golf tournament. If you have a golf tournament, and you're not a golfer, you're probably not in it.
It's a bad day.
But in bowling, you don't really have to be a bowler. We can put the bumpers in, the gutters, and you can just get up there and wail away.
In our closing time, I think people we need to stress and people need to understand this is not some plush organization where 35% of your dollar goes to the organization and 65% goes to whatever. You're a lean organization. You got a great rent where you are right now, and you watch every penny, and people should know that when they make a donation, most of it is going to affect the kids.
Well, that's all we do. All we do is serve kids, make matches, recruit volunteers, and try to make a difference in kids' lives, not just for today, but forever. And 100% of the money we raise stays right here in this community, in the surrounding communities. We have a service area that includes 14 counties. We serve 14 counties in central Kentucky. But we raise money in all those communities, and we try to keep the money we raise in those communities to benefit the children there. The money we raise in Danville, which we try to keep it in Danville and help more children in the Danville area. And, but everything that we raise, all the money we raise, none of it goes to Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. It all stays right here in our service area, benefiting the kids right here in central Kentucky.
Hip hip hooray, good for you. Eric, thanks for taking a ship that was taking on water and really having the guts to stick with it, because it's made a difference. And these kids, yeah, they're about mentees today, but they are our next generation. If we can get these kids on track, it makes us a better community.
Well, and let me say this, Paul, what's happened with Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Bluegrass is a direct result of the tremendous support that this community showed.
Yes.
It doesn't really have that much to do with me. I mean, I tried to stay out of the way and not screw it up, quite honestly. I mean, this community stepped up. They made it very clear through their actions that this organization matters in this community, and what we do, serving children in this community, and the way we serve children in this community makes a difference. And so I can't take the credit, really. Honestly, it's the community.
It's a great community. You live in it. You're guilty by association. I'm Paul Chartier. Eric, you're doing a great job.
Thanks.
Thank you. We'll be back. I'm Paul Chartier. This is Harvard.